Good morning. A little bit about myself first, and why this is such an important issue for both me and my wife is, as Pastor Dennis shared, my name is Michael Manning, and I am I'm the National Director of Foundation Partnerships for Destiny Rescue. And about 10 years ago, about 10 years ago I think it was, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, we were watching the movie Taken, and I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago. I learned that Abraham Lincoln had abolished slavery, and that was it. Problem solved. And she grew up all over the world, living in a lot of places where it was just that wasn't the case. And her father built oil refineries, and so he was the project manager, basically ran the jobs. He was first one in, last one out. And there were places where they would go, and she and her mom, they couldn't leave without some sort of escort because it just wasn't safe. And so she was encouraging me to look into this. I finally started looking into this. And it's something that we've been passionate about for a while, but didn't really know what to do. And then we found this organization, Destiny Rescue, where we could get involved and make an impact. And I think this issues have been driven home even more over the last few years for me, as we now have two nieces. One is 8 and the other is 4. They just turned 8 and 4 about 2 weeks ago. And my brother and his wife, they do art shows. And so we watch the girls for the weekend about 5 to 8 times a year. And it's a lot of fun. It is absolutely exhausting for us. We are not used to taking care of kids. God bless all of you parents that can keep up with your kids, because I have no idea how you do it on a daily basis. One of the rituals that we have with the girls is, Mom and Dad don't always let them eat the sugary cereals. And so that's our special treat when they come over. They get to have some special sugary cereal. And their favorite is Lucky Charms. Love Lucky Charms. And so we go to the store and I'm like, so you guys want shredded wheat this time? No, we want Lucky Charms. And so we buy Lucky Charms, and that's kind of our process. And what makes it even better is I control the cereal, and so I pour them their first bowl. And if they want a second bowl, they have to say, with the best British accent they can come up with, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" And it usually comes out more like, because they laugh. And my brother and his wife, they ask us, "What is it you have the girls say?" They try to tell us what it is that you have them say, and they couldn't even get it out. They were laughing so hard. And it becomes important to me that we make sure that these girls have a good life. My wife and I, we're not their parents, but we can be there to support their parents. We can stand in the gap when they need us to, if they ever need us to. And that's kind of what drives me to do what I do now with Destiny Rescue. What would I do for these girls? If something happened to them, it's scary to think about the youngest girl that we've rescued. This past year, we rescued a girl in India that was 18 months old. It blows my mind. The average age of the girls that we rescue is about 15. But that's the average. And I have a feeling, because we're starting to do work in India, we're doing a lot of work in India, that age, it's just going to keep dropping. We live in a world that is telling us right is wrong and wrong is right. I came across a study, it was by a group called RAND, that looked at kids, young adults, teenagers and younger, that whenever they view a television show with some sort of sexual content, it doesn't even have to portray sex, it can just be talking about sex. That children who watch this stuff, they are more likely to engage in sexual intercourse in the following year after having watched that. And the Kaiser Foundation did a study and found that, and I think this was in about 3-4 years ago that they published these findings, that 70% of all television shows have some form of sexual content in it. This is the battle that we're fighting. And this isn't, we are a hyper-sexualized world here. But I'll tell you what, I've walked through the red light districts in Bangkok. I've walked through the red light districts in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. I've done some rescue work now in Bangkok as well. And in these cultures, it's not television, it's just kind of pervasive it's kind of the undertone of the culture. And it's scary what's happening and what these kids and what's happening in these countries, what they're being exposed to. So what do we do? How do we combat that? Well, at Destiny Rescue, we've been doing this for about 18 years. We work in Southeast Asia mainly, where 73-74% of all trafficking happens. Over the past year, this year, we have rescued 895 girls. And we have been operating we have been rescued almost 3,500 girls since we've started. And it's amazing. We work in 7 countries. We do project work in 7 countries, and it's awesome. I want to read just take a brief moment to read a bit of a story from Exodus chapter 1 and going into verse 2. And really what's happened here is that Israel is in captivity in Egypt. The Pharaoh has become very concerned about them partnering with their enemies and overthrowing the government. So here's he's basically made this command that the midwives are supposed to kill all of the sons that are born to the Israelite women. It says, then the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other Puah, when you help the Hebrew women give birth, observe them as they deliver. If the child is a son, kill him. But if it is a daughter, she may live. The Hebrew midwives, however, feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had told them. They let the boys live. So the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, why have you done this and let the boys live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives can get to them. So God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied and became very numerous. Since the midwives feared God, he gave them families. Pharaoh then commanded all his people, you must throw every son born to the Hebrews in the Nile, but let every daughter live. It goes on to talk about the birth of Moses. Moses was born to an Israelite man and woman, and then the mom realizes, I'm going to have to die, I can't keep the boy, and puts him in a basket in the Nile River. His sister watches over him, and he ends up getting rescued by Pharaoh's daughter. And I'll come back to that in a few minutes, but I just want to plant that seed about that passage to you. So here's what Destiny Rescue does. If we can go to rescue, we go into the bars and the brothels and we rescue young girls. This past year, I had the opportunity I was leading a mission trip to Thailand and Cambodia. I do this every year, and I was on a business trip for Destiny Rescue. We were winning an award, and it was being presented to us in Las Vegas. I flew from Las Vegas on the Thursday morning, got home, was home. My wife picked me up at Midway Airport. I was home for about 6 hours, and then she drove me to O'Hare Airport. I flew from Chicago, I flew through Dubai, spent a couple hours in Dubai, and then flew from Dubai to Thailand, and then landed in Bangkok. I had to wait about 5 hours or so, and I was leading a trip of college students from Grand Canyon University, and I just had to wait for them to get there. They got there, and we started this trip. And this is Friday, Saturday night. I can't even remember what day. I think it was Saturday night. That's right, it was Saturday night. I don't sleep on planes very well, so the 24 hours of travel, I probably got 3-4 hours of sleep total. And so I was absolutely exhausted. And that first night there, we went and we did our red light district walkthrough. We walked through the red light district. And afterwards, the rescue agent that was kind of guiding us, he had contacted me a couple of weeks before and said, hey, there's this girl that we're looking for that she had been in our care and has left, and we can't find her. We're afraid that she's back in the bar where she was working originally. All of our other rescue agents, they're either out of the country on vacation or they're on other missions, and I don't have anybody to go with me. Would you be willing to go with me on this rescue? And my wife and I, we had talked about it, prayed about it in the past, and I just double checked with her. Hey, is it okay if I do this? Because I'm going to be going into some pretty dark places. And she said, yeah. And we prayed about it again, and yes. And the answer was, yeah, let's do this. And so we went to go look for this young lady. We go into the first place. It was called King's Castle 2. It was a kind of a nightclub, bar type thing, and we go and we sit down, and these two really young girls come and sit with us. Now, the Thai culture is a very modest culture. Most of the time, when we have girls that we've rescued, we go swimming with them at times, and they will wear t-shirts and shorts. They won't even wear a bathing suit because they want to cover up. But in this bar that we were in, these two girls were wearing bikinis. It's just very unnatural for them to be exposed like that. And their names were Fa and Fan. And they were very shy. They came over, they were very closed. They not very talkative with us. And we were there touching only the way a father would touch a daughter. Interacting with them, we were making eye contact. We weren't looking at the rest of the body like every other guy in these places. And by the end of our time with them, it was amazing the change. They were laughing, they were open, they were sitting back, they were relaxed. It's amazing what happens when good Christian men and women are willing to go into these dark places and make an impact for Christ in them. Just because I know I'll have people asking me, we never did find the girl that we were looking for. She is not back on the bars as far as we can tell. So there's a small percentage of girls that we just kind of lose track of. And we cannot follow up with them. 80% of all the girls that we rescue stay out of trafficking long term, which is just incredible. We also then, just getting them out isn't enough. We have to then, let's go to the next slide. I forgot. Since I was here about a year ago, it was about 2 weeks short of a year since I was here sharing with you last, that 800 and something number that I just shared, we've actually, since last year this time, we've rescued 907. But once we get the girls out, it's not enough just to say, okay, you're free, because there's the underlying problems of especially poverty, lack of opportunity, lack of options. So we have to help restore them. We give them vocational training, education, Christian-based counseling, really just loving them and introducing them to the love of Christ in a very real and tangible way. Now I want to share a little bit of a story. This next young lady, Roshana, I shared a story about her last year, I believe. I was telling the story. Anya and I had just come back from our team trip, and I believe I was sharing the story about how we were cutting out these paper snowflakes, and Anya was pulling them open, and it was right at about Christmas time as we were helping decorate their Christmas tree. the rest of the girls that were with us and the rest of our team that we were leading, they had gone off and were doing some other stuff, and this one girl sat there, and I was tying strings on these things as fast as I could because she would grab them from me, run them over the Christmas tree, run back. I'm like furiously trying to tie so that I'd have something for her to grab when she came back, and she would run back, and she kept doing this. And we decorated the tree probably, I think it was like 5 minutes. It was crazy how fast we were going. Well, it turned out to be Roshana. I got to talk to Roshana a little bit again this year. And the update, you can see she's holding a piece of art. She got into this program. It's a training program with an organization called I Think Asia. I Think Asia is trying to get Cambodians involved in computer animation. Turns out, Roshana is an incredible artist. And so she got accepted into this very prestigious program. And not only did she get into this program, she's now been hired by I Think Asia. I was actually there at the home in Cambodia when they were taking those pictures. They were doing a blog story on her. And the media team was traveling with us as we were taking those pictures. And after she got done, she remembered who I was, and she ran up to talk to me afterwards. And this is a story of restoration, but it's also a story of reintegration, because since that picture was taken, she is now, again, she's employed with I Think Asia. She's actually doing the coloring on the animation for the different TV shows and movies that they're helping produce. She has now moved out of our rescue home. She is living on her own and has this incredible job. And it's just something that I've been able to experience now and gotten to know her on a personal level. I'm very sad because I probably, on my next trip, I won't get to see her again. But I'm also really happy because I'm not going to be able to see her again. She's off on her own, living her own. So then we help reintegrate them, and I was just talking about that. We help them find jobs. And I want to share two stories here with reintegration. The first is a young lady, her name is Lakina, and she has gone through our program, and she's been able to open up a salon. And I got to visit the salon. Unfortunately, she was out running around, and so we didn't get to meet her, but I got to see her salon through the gates. So it was really cool to see that. She was so excited because her sister actually came to the city to help her with this. We're not just helping individual girls, we're helping their whole families. And so now her sister is involved in helping her with this. And she says that she's just so excited. She says, I'm happy because I have something that is mine, my very own shop. This is a girl that has gone from one of the darkest places in the world to now she is a young entrepreneur doing some incredible work. Do you guys know who that is? Apparently that's some girl that's kind of a big deal, married to some guy that lives over across the Atlantic Ocean, something like that. That's Megan and Harry. I can never remember that. It's Veterans Day. We fought a war of independence, so I try not to follow the world from that. Megan, that pair of jeans that she's wearing, those are made by Outland Denim. Last year I wore a pair of Outland Denim jeans and was talking about how Destiny Rescue, actually Outland Denim started as a part of Destiny Rescue and has branched into their own company. They, I would say, exclusively hire our girls, but because Megan decided to wear those jeans, they're calling it the Markle effect. Outland Denim has had to hire, they've already hired, I believe, 15 new seamstresses, and they're looking at maybe even up to 15 more, just because of the impact of her wearing these clothes. And she found out about us and wore them. It's really cool. I didn't wear my Outland Denim jeans this time because I tried them on. And what were not skinny jeans are now skinny jeans. My wife took one look at me and said, So my goal is the next time I share with you guys, I will actually be able to fit back into this. If we go on to the next slide, this is Kyra, I believe. Kyra has been working with Destiny, she's been working with Outlet Dental. She went through our program 10 years ago. And we still have a relationship with them. It's once they are in our family, they are always in our family. They can always come back to us and look at, and really if they need help, we will help them. And this is what she has to say. I've actually seen her work. She's incredible. She can work all of the machines. She can do all of the work, and is very, very well respected at Outland Dental. And she says, when I was with Destiny Rescue, I received much love and care. I was always encouraged and learned how to encourage myself and others around me. I also got to know Jesus and learned that I was valuable to God. We hear about girls, we have girls that are coming to Christ because of the work that we do, because we can go and we can say, here's why we're doing what we're doing. Our graduation ceremony, we have foot washing, where the leaders wash the feet of the girls and send them out as they're graduating from one program to the next, one phase of the program to the next. And it's just a great celebration. We have absolutely wonderful times. We also do prevention work, and I'll show you if you can just kind of even skip right to the next one. This was on my trip. That's my leg. And we had these kids that were coming up to us, and we actually go into the village. We partner with the local churches in the village. We've had situations where people are just coming to Christ in droves because we're partnering with these local churches, sharing with them, how they can prevent their kids from getting trapped into this. Really making sure that they have the tools and the resources that they need. And so we were at this place, and we'd helped clean up in the area, and now we were playing with the kids. And the kids were coming up to us, and it started off with the little kids. They were coming up, and they wanted us to pick them up and throw them up like that. And there were 3 guys on this trip, two young college kids and me. And I'm doing this, and the kids kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, this guy just grabbed onto my leg and would not let go. And so it went from being an arms and shoulders day to a leg day, being able to try and walk around with him and grab on my leg. But it's amazing if we can prevent these kids from going into, if we can give them education and opportunities when they're young, they don't get trapped. So what? So what can we do? What's interesting is when we read that story in Exodus that I was just sharing about, it talks about Pharaoh, it talks about a man from the tribe of Levi, a Levite woman, but that's Moses' parents, Moses' sister. It talks about Pharaoh's daughter, and none of them are named in this part of the story. The 2 people who get named in this story are Shiphrah and Puah. It's the little people. We all have our parts, and God sees us just as valuable as the Pharaoh, actually even more valuable than the Pharaoh, because we can play and do something to impact kids. With Destiny Rescue, I'm going to give you a few things that you can do to help us out if you would like. The first is you can become a rescue partner. Actually, if you text RP to the number 260-408-6760, you'll actually get the link to become a rescue partner. You can set that for any amount that you want that you can give on a monthly basis. We've had people that have given $1 a month, and they sit there and go, it's all I can afford, but I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Is that going to make a difference? Absolutely. We have girls that are being trafficked for $1 to $2 at a time. $1 makes a difference. We have people who give $1,000. We have an organization that gives $1,000. Me personally, I fall a little closer to the dollar than the $1,000. But that is one way that you can be involved in helping us, and that's just absolutely huge. The next thing is we normally have a whole lot of jewelry. I only have a little bit this time. It's just to kind of show you. What I really encourage you to do is host a jewelry party. Our average jewelry party, we sell about $600. That's enough to bring a girl freedom for almost 2 months. It doesn't take a whole lot to make a huge impact on the lives of these girls. The next thing I would encourage you to do is to sign up for our newsletter. Just get our updates. Use those as a chance to pray for us. This is a huge spiritual battle that we're fighting, and we need your prayer support. We're going into the darkest places. We're dealing with children who have been affected in ways that I just can't comprehend how they've been impacted. Finally, and I don't have a slide for this one, but we actually have a generous donor. I cannot mention who that is until actually I think Tuesday. But we have a generous donor that we've been partnering with for a couple of years now. They are offering for the next $25,000 that we raise. Every donation that we raise, they will match that dollar for dollar. So if you want to give today and help out, every dollar you give is now doubled. Your impact is doubled. You're affecting twice as many people as before. If you want more information on that, just come and talk to me. I can share with you about all the different things. The last bit that I'll share or that I'll close with is that we have to decide to do something. We can't just sit aside and do nothing. I hope that I can be as faithful as Shifra and Pua in playing my part in rescuing kids. I haven't had the need to stand up to Pharaoh, but I sure hope that I can, and I can be remembered in the same way that they are. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really appreciate it. Every time we come here, it is just a